with Zoom. I've had people who've done that.
I may be able to offer him the opportunity to share the screen. I can do that as the host. So when he gets on, we'll try it and see what happens.
He must not realize he's talking to a bunch of old guys. We better get a couple kindergartners in here to figure this out.
Shara, Gary told me that you're doing the invocation today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. He had some kind of a dental emergency this morning, and then he and Terry were taking the cats to up to Purdue to get them fixed or whatever they have to do to the new kittens. So, hi Sharon.
Hello.
Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Sherry.
Hello. See, it took my 9-year-old to figure out how to get my microphone fixed.
Andy just said we need a couple of kindergartners in the club to, be our IT people. So,
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't figure it out.
did you have any trouble logging on?
I did not
Okay. Did you click on the link or just enter the meeting number?
answer the meeting number.
All right.
I clicked on the link and it worked fine. It
Well,
just,
I tested the link this morning and it worked. So, but Jim
Yeah,
said
it just took a little time for it to connect. That's all.
well, now that I see at least 6 faces, I'm reasonably confident that it'll work. I almost forgot how to do it since I haven't done it since end of September.
Right. My newer laptop crashed last week.
That's not good.
No, it was a Dell. So I went through I was on it and all of a sudden a big blue screen popped up.
Ooh, that's not good.
Ooh,
Contacted my IT guy at the college and he says, "Oh, that's the blue screen of death."
Yeah, exactly.
So I took it to him for him to look at it, and it said the same thing that the protocol asked me to do. No hard drive. So I called Dell and they sent me a box. It took a week for that laptop to get to Texas. Got there yesterday. So I have no idea what's going to happen so I'm on an older laptop. I'm glad I kept it. And
What they're probably going to have to do is change out the hard drive.
yeah,
I had that happen to one of my older computers, and fortunately, I had a backup copy in Carbonite, and so I put the new drive in, and then you could download the content, and was able to pretty much restore it to the way it was.
well, I'm hoping. I'm not sure what they're going to do. What's interesting is that my warranty had run out, and they kept notifying me that you need to update your warranty, and I kept forgetting about it. And then a month later, all of a sudden, my laptop crashes. It could be coincidental, but sometimes you wonder about the coincidences of something like that.
Yes, you do. Hi, Morris.
Yeah, so
hi, Morris. Yeah, it's just kind of like shingles. They just last 20 years and that's it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the virus shingles.
No, I'm talking about.
You're talking about a roof. All
Yeah,
right.
when they say 20 years, that's exactly what they mean. They've got it down to a science.
Don't get a hailstorm at 20 years and 2 months.
Nope. Your insurance company becomes a stranger at that point. I think this thing he sent me, I'll ask Dan, but it's about this organization he's involved in. It's just information about it, so I don't know. It maybe I could send it out as an email. I'll ask him.
Okay. Is it just a single attachment?
Well, I'm looking. It's a link. It's the Rosecrans Florian Program for Uniformed Service Personnel. And it's a link. It's something that everybody can read, I guess.
Can you forward that to me?
Yeah. Now, what's your address? It's a Gmail, right?
Yeah, jerry.dryer@gmail.com. Dryer, Dreyer.
Yeah, I have your old one comes up. That's why I ask you for sure. I just sent it to you.
Okay, thanks.
No, it says cannot send mail. Your mailbox is full.
I
I don't know. Mine's full. Yours is full.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
Well, let me try it again.
I know it's working because Jim sent me a note at 11:13.
On your email?
Yeah. And there were a couple of other junk emails that were there since we started the meeting. So I know the account is working all right. I'll keep an eye out for it. I'm ready for the sun to come back and melt all this off. At least the roads weren't too bad.
We could be in upstate New York with 4
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah, good point. I measured about 2.5 inches here. Which was more than I thought we would get anyway, so. That was almost like more snow than we had in any one time than all of last season, I think.
Yeah.
Hi, Chuck.
Hello.
Hey, Jerry,
Yes,
you have disabled the screen sharing. If screen sharing could be enabled, maybe Andy could do that. See the green box down there? Share
yeah, I'm looking at it.
There should be options that appear.
Okay, I've set it so that all participants can share, but only one participant at a time, because I know it gets goofy when more than one person is trying to share.
Right.
And they recommend dual monitors for that.
Hey, son.
So
Hey,
Andy,
Hey, how are
Hey,
you?
Adam, how are you? Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
hey Adam, how you doing?
I'm well. Good to see everybody virtually here.
Hey,
Where are you located?
I'm in Noblesville, at our fire headquarters, doing this on my lunch hour, so it worked out well.
Good. I'm glad to have you.
Yes, thank you.
Did you get that, Jerry? I sent it to you. It looked like it went through the second time.
Yes, I did.
It's a link.
All right, let me forward this to,
Andy, did you open the link?
Yeah, I did.
And what was on it?
Well, it's about this organization that he's connected with. This mental health organization for the firefighters and the police officers. I think it's just kind of for information for everybody.
You see where it says share screen down at the bottom? Go down, take your cursor, clear down to the bottom, and it opens up and it says share screen.
Yeah.
Left click on that and it opens up. And
It says iPad or iPhone.
right.
So I know what I do now, just hit share. Oh boy, it's getting a little bit technical.
Beyond my world.
Uh-oh.
It should open up for you.
It says that Mac's sharing now.
Yeah, see, I shared this.
Oh boy. It says a plugin is required to share the iPhone or the iPad.
Well, you have is that what you're on, an iPad?
An iPhone. Well, no, I mean, I'm on my desktop actually.
Well, you should be fine. I am too, and that's what I did
So you shared it from your iPhone?
from my laptop.
Well,
So what you do is you open the link. Open the link.
open the link. Now, where's the link?
Well, it should be in your email.
Yeah, but I don't know where my email is.
Go to your,
Adam, you need to help your dad.
I know where the email is, but I can't get it from here to there.
well, all you do is just go down and open your mail and it'll open up over top of the Zoom meeting. It won't disappear. Zoom meeting won't disappear.
Okay, so I go down here. Well, I gotta go into my email now, right?
Yeah. I just got a message from Jerry.
yeah,
So
I just copied the link and sent it out to everybody via Portal Buzz. So if you
Okay.
check your email, you should
So
see.
It's
Yeah,
just
it just
basic,
came. I just got it.
yeah, it's just basically a link. I'm not sure he'll be using it, but I think he just wanted, we'll ask him when he gets on. I hope he's on the right time. I did mention that it was Indiana time.
Here comes Dave, man. Dave Weiss of the mail.
Well, let's see. I'm afraid I'm gonna break something.
No,
You're not going to break anything.
Okay,
I may be able to do it. If I can get it to open.
you got it. Why don't you put it on, Mac?
Hey, Larry.
That's what I'm trying to
Yes.
do. It's rosecrans.org,
Yeah,
addiction treatment.
yeah. That's it.
Okay, it's opening.
What's the matter, sir?
Quit fighting, you guys.
All right, I'm going to try to open this for everybody. See it?
Not yet.
Says Mac Petty has started screen sharing, but I don't see anything but a black screen so far.
Here it
There
is.
There it is.
Yeah.
So I have you guys in on Zoom. I can see some of you, but there's the program that
Got
he's
it.
talking about. I have to operate it.
That's scary.
This looks just like, it looks like a website, Mac. I don't think it's actually a presentation.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
it's
think
just,
so
I think
either.
it was just information.
Just some additional information that he may be speaking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can probably read it afterwards.
Well, since Jerry sent it out, I'll just close it then.
That'd be all right. If we need to get it back on, you can impress us again with your savvy, your technical savvy.
Well, I wasn't afraid I was going to break it.
Well, you broke your other computer. That's why I was.
But no, Dell did that.
Oh, okay.
Dell sent Lord Vader to look into it.
Jerry, on the 21st, there's supposed to be a planetary conjunction.
Yes,
Where in the sky?
it is low in the southwest sky. You'll need to have a good view of the southwest horizon. Jupiter and Saturn will come together, and Jupiter's the brightest object in that area right now. Saturn's a little dimmer, but the two of them are going to come to within about 1/10 of a degree of each other, which is 1/5 of the diameter of a full moon. And it'll look pretty much like one object.
Any particular time of night?
Just before sunset.
Just before sunset.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, when it starts to get dark, you should go out and look, because Jupiter actually sets about an hour after the sun. So it's really low to the horizon from these latitudes. I'm praying for clear skies on the 21st, because something like this hasn't been seen for 800 some years.
Will you be able to see it with the naked eye?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
naked eye or even a pair of binoculars.
Yeah, it'll look like one star.
Supposed to look like one object, right?
Yep.
With
And
binoculars, you might see a little bit of separation, or a small telescope, you might see small separation. I'm planning on having my telescope out, assuming the skies are clear. So fingers crossed.
How long will it last?
It's actually visible from like the 20th through the 22nd. They'll essentially be together for those 3 nights. So if the 21st gets clouded out, start looking right now. I saw it 3 nights ago, and they're getting closer, but the two objects are each night getting a little bit tighter, and on the 21st is when they make the closest approach.
Jupiter is already showing, but here,
Yep.
just with Saturn coming up on it, it's getting a little brighter.
Yeah, Jupiter's, like I said, it's the brightest object in that part of the sky right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, Don. Welcome. Judd,
Thanks,
it's
sir.
nice to see you. Welcome.
I think I saw,
Morning, everybody. This is Judd Roach.
Morning.
Hi,
Hey,
Judd.
good.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to see you guys.
I thought I saw Chief Busenbark on there a minute ago. He must have exited.
I'm here, Andy.
Oh, you're here?
Yep.
Okay, welcome.
He's not
Thank
showing
you.
his video.
Oh,
It's on his iPhone. Says here, Jerry, that about every 20 years, Jupiter and Saturn will rendezvous.
Yeah, but they don't get as close as they're going to get this time.
Right.
And they're only close together in the sky. The actual distance between the two planets is still several 100 million miles. It's just the way it looks because the Earth and Jupiter and Saturn are pretty much lined up out from the sun at this point.
I think there was a song about that, The Age of Aquarius, wasn't there?
There was. The fifth dimension back in the, late 60s?
Yeah.
The dawning of the age of Aquarius.
But you all were smoking pot.
He didn't inhale.
Why, Sharon, what are you talking about?
There's a great silence there.
Okay. I'm in the meeting.
Well, I'm showing 12 o'clock. Andy, have you heard anything from Dan?
And it really hasn't started yet.
I just heard that he sent me that link.
Yeah.
I'll send him a text.
Does he know that we're on Eastern time and he's on Central?
Well, we kind of went over that, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. I may have been out of the room then.
No, I meant we went over it when I set it up.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started, and we'll get the business part of the meeting out of the way, and then hopefully our speaker will join while we're in progress.
Andy, does he send him an email and see, are you ready to come on?
Yeah, I'm sending him a text right now.
Okay.
So welcome to everybody. It's nice to see your smiling faces and a couple of guests out there. So let's get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't have Gary's video to put up, so I'm just going to hold up my flag here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Shar has our invocation. Shar.
Oh, Heavenly Father, we thank you for food and remember the hungry. We thank you for health and remember the sick. We thank you for friends and remember the friendless. We thank you for freedom and remember the enslaved. May these remembrance stir us to service, that thy gifts to us may be used for others. Amen.
Amen.
Well, like I said, we do have a couple of guests. Andy has invited his son, Adam. Adam, welcome to Kiwanis and Crawfordsville. And
yeah, I think he's muted right now, but yeah. And then I've got Chief Busenbark from the city fire department is here. Say hello, Chief.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome to Crawfordsville, Kiwanis.
And then I was hoping Paul Miller would be on. I haven't seen him yet. Paul spoke to us a couple of weeks ago.
He's over getting his physical today.
Oh boy, super. And then I invited Scott Feller, but I don't think he was able to join us. And I just texted with Dan, the speaker, and he said he was just getting out of another meeting, so he should be on here in just a few minutes.
And Judd, our former governor, has joined us as well. So welcome again. Good to see you. Announcements and some upcoming events. Operation Toy Box. We've been talking about this for several weeks. The weekend is here. We still need volunteers on Sunday to help set up from 1 to 5. This is at the National Guard Armory there on South Washington Street. And more importantly, I mean, we only need 1 or 2 on Sunday, but I need some help on Monday. We need 9 volunteers to cover the 2 shifts for the actual distribution of the toys. This is when the parents come in and do their quote shopping. The shifts run from 12:30 to 3 and from 2:30 to 5. So there'll be a little overlap in the middle. You can sign up for it on Portal Buzz. All you have to do is click sign me up when you go to meetings and events, and then you'll see the 2 dates. You can click on sign me up and it'll add you. And if you have difficulty doing that, why give me a call, send me an email or text, and I'll get you registered. But you know, this is our first time to support this project, which has been going on in this community for many, many years. And so I'd like to really make sure that we have the support so we can execute on it. So if you have anybody have any questions, I appreciate the ones who have signed up already, but we could use a little more help.
I'll do a miracle healing of my shoulder and I'll come help.
Okay. Praying for a miracle, praying for a miracle.
I go to therapy today, so that needs a miracle also.
I'm also looking still for volunteers to head up our, to be the program chairs for each month. I've got 9 of the 12 months covered. And so I need help for February, April, and July are still open. So if you would consider that, why all you have to do is go round up people. As I've said in the past couple of months, it's really easier now that since we're meeting virtually, the speaker doesn't have to come from the Crawfordsville area, can come from anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world, really. So give that some consideration.
Even Chicago.
Even Chicago, yes. And Dan, I see you've joined us. Welcome to Crawfordsville, Kiwanis. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Lastly, you know, we've got kind of a cadre of the usual suspects here on the screen today, and I really appreciate everybody that is there almost every week. But think of the folks that you used to sit with when we were meeting face to face in the library. And for those who haven't been attending our Zoom meetings, if you haven't already done this, reach out to them. You know, check on them, make sure that they're doing okay. See if there's anything that you know that they could need help with. Obviously, continue to encourage them to join us. We're going to be on Zoom for the foreseeable future. The library remains closed and is not going to have any in-person meetings. And obviously, with what's going on in Montgomery County right now regarding the whole COVID situation, large face-to-face gatherings probably are not a great idea. So just check on everyone and make sure they're doing okay and that we're thinking about them. Birthdays this week, Karen Heisel and Karen Branch both have birthdays coming up on Sunday, the 20th. Conrad Harvey and Todd Barton have a birthday coming up on the 28th, and Dave Polly on the 31st. And I mentioned those last two just because a reminder, next Thursday, the 24th, is Christmas Eve, and we will...
Sorry.
That's the happiest ringtone I can. We won't have a meeting next Thursday, the 24th. However, we did agree that we're going to meet as a group on the 31st, New Year's Eve, and kind of discuss, you know, reminisce about what's gone on during the year and the impact that the whole pandemic thing has had on all of us, and, you know, just kind of review and have a little bit of camaraderie. There won't be a speaker specifically. And if you want to start your celebrations for New Year's Eve a little bit early, I'm not going to object. In fact, I may lead the charge. I don't know.
We can have a drinking contest.
Well, we don't have to drive, so, you know, that may be an idea. Happy Bucks. Today is this will be the final meeting of this quarter And we had agreed that Happy Bucks would go to the Eliminate project. So this is the last time to contribute to that. So I'll put $10 in. I'm also happy that the snow is gone quickly. It was certainly beautiful yesterday morning to look at, but grateful that, the streets melted off pretty quickly. The highway department did a decent job, I think, of getting things pre-treated, and it seemed to recover from that very quickly. So aside from the schools being 2 hours delayed, why wasn't that big a deal? John has already mentioned the Christmas star coming up. I'm really happy about that, and crossing my fingers and eyes and toes and everything, praying for clear skies on Monday night, the 21st. So if you all get a chance, really anytime between now and next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it should be visible in the low in the southwest sky. And it's not something that's going to happen in our lifetime again. So take advantage of it. Anybody else happy about anything?
Well, as always, I'm happy that my speaker showed up. And the other thing, I'm happy my son's here, although I don't see him now. Maybe they got a call. But anyway, and happy, oh, there he is. And then Chief Busenbark. So we got 3 chiefs right now, and we're the Indians. So we got plenty of chiefs today. So.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Okay, moving along. Today in history was kind of a slow day in history, but there were some notable things. In 1903, near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, Wilbur and Orville Wright made the first successful flight in history of a heavier than air aircraft, and the age of the airplane was born. In 1939, in the Battle of the River Plate near Montevideo, Uruguay, the British trapped the German pocket battleship Admiral Graf Spee. The captain of the Graf Spee scuttled and sank his ship, believing that there was no escape. In 1944, the U.S. approved the end to the internment of Japanese Americans. U.S. Major General Henry C. Pratt issued Public Proclamation number 21, which declared that Japanese American evacuees from the West Coast could return to their homes on January 2nd, 1945, thus ending one of the more shameful periods in U.S. history, in my opinion. In 1948, the Smithsonian Institution accepted the Kitty Hawk, the Wright brothers' first airplane, for permanent exhibition in the museum. And note that they did it on the 45th anniversary of that first flight. And finally, in 1989, The Simpsons, TV's longest running animated series, made its debut on television. I told you it was kind of a slow day in history. Anyway, at this point, I'm going to mute everybody's microphones. And Andy and Dan, you'll have to unmute yours, and I'll let Andy introduce our speakers.
Okay. There, you got it. You hear me now? Thumbs up. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me do programs. I know it's always hard to get people to do programs, so I don't know if it's a thank you or not, but I'm really happy today because it's kind of a long-winded story about how Dan and my son and I all got connected, but maybe I'll tell that some other time. But Dan DeGryse is a retired battalion chief following a 30-year career with the Chicago Fire Department. And through his career, Dan has been an advocate of awareness, education, and proper treatment for substance abuse and mental health issues. Dan has led trainings for fire and police departments locally and nationally, and is a master instructor for the IAFF peer support group, earning a bachelor's degree in psychology in 1986. And I will point out that that was from Wabash College. And Dan has been over 3 decades of clinical experience working in the mental health field, providing individual, group, and family therapy. In 2014, Dan collaborated with Rosecrans and became the director of the Florian program, a tailored approach to treat first responders and military personnel facing substance abuse and mental health issues. And I'd also like to point out that Dan's son also graduated from Wabash. Was that in 2018, Dan?
He's 25. What the heck?
Well, anyway.
So do the math.
A few years ago. That's when I first met him over at Wabash. So I won't go into, like I said, I won't go into the long story about how we got all connected. But Dan, I appreciate you signing up with us today, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, boy, welcome, or thank you, Andy, and thank you, everybody. Hopefully I won't put you to sleep. I'm always very honored to stand before anybody and share a little bit about myself and a little bit about kind of the mission that I've been on for, gosh, 34 years. And I guess if you consider the fact that I'm a son of a Marine and a former Marine and a Chicago police officer, but he was an active alcoholic. So I've been in the field of behavioral health, substance abuse, and mental health basically my entire life. Many people ask me why I do what I do, and I don't know actually the answer to that, other than the fact that it's kind of been my life's mission to help others. Kind of like what all of you are doing, to, you know, what you've done, and I'd love to get to know all of you. I always like to know what the audience, who the audience is and where they come from. I'm assuming you're all from Indiana. But a little bit about me. Well, let me just say this first, is as Jerry was just mentioning, critical events for today. December is usually a tough month for us from Chicago. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and then Wabash. But in regards to December, everybody's looking forward to Christmas and the New Year. For us as a Chicago firefighter, we have had some significant events where we had significant loss of life. So as I think probably Adam, who's here, Deputy Chief Adam Biddle, when I first came on the job, I enjoyed wearing a uniform, and especially the Class A uniform for all you veterans or people that have been in the fire service or police or anywhere. As time went on, we ended up wearing that uniform to funerals, and I had less reason why I wanted it. I didn't really want to wear it anymore because it was being paired with death. And so when I think about December, I wrote down some dates. December 1st, where there was the Our Lady of Angels fire, where we lost many kids. We didn't lose any firefighters, but we lost countless kids. And December 14th, we lost a gentleman, Dan Capuano, on the south side, where he fell through a open hole in the floor. December 22nd, we lost 8 firefighters in the stockyards fire back in the 50s. And then December 22nd, about, I think it was 6 years ago, we lost Corey Aiken and Lieutenant Stringer in a fire. So what I have to do, honestly, is keep my spirits up, because as all of you know yourself, you've lost friends, coworkers, family members. And while I'll admit that the fire service to me has been the greatest job in the world, along with helping others, because it's both in the same profession, there's also a lot of grief and loss in the field that we're at. So I kind of shared that I grew up a little bit in Chicago. Really didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. Ended up playing football, got recruited to Wabash College, never heard of it. And I mean, I was from a big city, Chicago, and I was looking at other bigger colleges. Not that I was a great athlete, but something hit me when I went out to Wabash, and it was just the family community. And I remember going with my parents, and standing there with the then coach of the football team. And after I had committed to go to Wabash, his comment to me and my mom and my dad was that, yeah, the all male atmosphere is conducive to learning. And I came from a high school where there were 5,000 kids, going to a college with 800 and finding out they were all male. I almost reneged on my commitment. Come to realize that was probably the thing that got me through college, because if I didn't have the people from that small town community that and I had a counselor there that really kind of, I didn't do well my freshman year, and then I didn't do well in economics. I wanted to be a big businessman. So this leads to why I'm doing what I'm doing, is because I couldn't pass microeconomics. I ended up becoming a psychology major, and then graduated in '86. Tried to get into business, and realized business was not my forte. So I decided to get into behavioral health, and I started working with kids 13 to 18 with severe behavioral disorders. Probably not much unlike myself or many of the people that come into the fire service. We have a tendency to have certain personalities, as probably Adam or Andy could attest to. Adam is much more calm probably than I am, although he probably could tell you a few stories. So I got in the field of behavioral health, and in 1989, I got in the Chicago Fire Department. Fast forward to 2000, I got asked to be a part of the Chicago Firefighters Union EAP program. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I got in there, and I basically was in charge of a team to help support firefighters, active and retired. So 8,000 active and retired members and their spouses. So I continued to learn about behavioral health, mental health, substance abuse, and deal with our men and women that we're dealing with. And a lot of them were, some of them were former police officers, some of them were veterans. So I don't know how many, if there's any police officers or family members of police officers or family members of veterans here, but they're a unique breed, just like us in the fire service. And I was charged with trying to find out resources that our members would respond to. And then fast forward to 2000, I became a member of the International Association of Firefighters Behavioral Health Committee for all 300,000 members across the United States. I've worked with the Illinois Fire Service Institute for all their instructors all across the state of Illinois. And I've also worked with the National Council for Behavioral Health to create a fire and EMS module on mental health first aid. I've also worked with fire engineering and the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. So a few organizations. I by far am not an expert, but I just have an area of concentration in behavioral health and serving first responders, including military personnel, which leads me to really what I'm doing now. I'm the director of the Rosecrans Flooring program that we started in 2014. And like I said, in my experience with the Chicago Firefighters Union, or referring to various treatment centers, if any of you have, like myself, have had involvement with mental health professionals, it's just like a plumber, an attorney, an electrician. While they might have that title, not everybody connects with everybody. And what I was finding out was that when we were sending our members to inpatient treatment centers, they weren't staying engaged, and they were having a difficult time maintaining involvement with the clinicians. And what I was learning is that they just didn't have that career experience like many of us in the frontline services and veteran services to understand what we go through 4, 8, and or a career of 30 plus years. So I reached out to several different organizations, one being Rosecrans, where I'm at, housed in Rockford, Illinois. And we began the Florian program. And the key things about this really, you know, again, if you're familiar with treatment or counseling, they have certain approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy or prolonged exposure therapy or EMDR or dialectic behavioral therapy, a lot of talk therapy, a lot of experiential therapy. But just like me, I don't expect all of you to be like, oh, hey, Dan's the greatest guy in the world, or hey, he's the most experienced, or hey, he's got an accent or whatever. The reality is that when you get in front of people, you're being judged, and I get that, and I'm okay because I'm not perfect. But what I knew I needed to do was create an environment for these first responders and veterans where they felt connected with the facilitators, really the staff. And so I shared with Andy, who might have shared with all of you, our staff sheet that basically the majority of the personnel that deal with first responders and veterans come from that background. We have 2 Army vets, one's a chaplain, we have 2 firefighters, we have a police officer, and we have several family members of a first responder that all work on our unit that understand the 24, 48-hour shift or the 48, 96-hour shift or the night shifts or having somebody that's a nurse or a doctor or EMS or somebody that fought in one of the wars. And so those people that come on our unit don't have to explain to us what it is to experience that. We already get that. And it's really a collaborative, communicative relationship to get those people that are really, in my opinion, studs or studettes, men and women, because we're a co-ed unit, to get them to the point where they need to be in the best quality of life that they want. Not what we want, but they want. Like I said, it's a collaborative effort. You all know from what your mission is to try to help and reach out to the community, whether it be children or adolescents or adults or older people like myself, ourselves, to stay engaged and have a good quality of life. And that's why when Andy asked me to talk, I'm like, I'm happy to answer any questions, but knowing that most of the people that I was going to be talking to today were going to be my age or older. You have life experience that the average person that we talk to that come in at the age of 20 or 30 really don't have. And that speaks volumes. So, I mean, that's a little bit about me. I'm not sure what else. I mean, I was kidding with Adam before we jumped on, is that I'm not a big fire storyteller. I could certainly tell you a few things. I don't know if you're even interested in that. The funny story is when Adam came and rode with me, I had a lot of people that rode with me because my last 7 years I spent as the battalion chief for all of downtown Chicago. So if you've ever been to Chicago, it's a fairly large community, right? Has 1,100 or more high rises. And so I was the sole battalion chief to cover all that. Had 11 rigs, fire department apparatus, and 55 people to manage that. So I covered that and the whole lakefront and the river. Kind of an ominous task to do, but fires are something that we are very comfortable putting out. And high rise is just another thing that we have to deal with that has its own hurdles and issues that we have to understand. But when Adam was with me, besides all the people walking on the street, across the street, the bicycles, the Ubers, the people texting on their phone and driving in front of us, the bus drivers, the truck drivers, you name it, right, Adam? It's like most people that come and ride with me is like, how do you do it? I go, well, I usually drink about 3 pots of coffee a day. That's because my nervous system was always heightened throughout the whole day. And I was never a coffee drinker, but my body was just always on. But the day he was with me, we got a call for a bee infestation that fell off a building or something like that. And I looked, I'm like, what? And Adam looks at me and I'm like, dude, I don't know. This is downtown Chicago. You never know what you're going to expect. So we pull up in the middle of the street because we get an approximate address, and we're looking up, I'm looking down, I'm looking around. And the next thing I know, I picture, not the mailboxes, but the boxes that dispense magazines that are pretty much no longer in existence, that we used to put a quarter in or maybe a dime to get paper, was fully infested by bees. And I looked at Adam and I go, what's the SOP on that? And because Chicago doesn't have one for that. And the first thing that we typically think about is like, let's spray some water on it. We didn't have any water in the Chiefs car. But I stood there, and then now crowds are coming around. Now I'm thinking EMS stuff. If people come by this and it starts swarming and we get 100 people stung by bees, we're going to have an issue. Well, wouldn't you know it, of all the, tens of thousands of people that are downtown Chicago, I asked somebody that's about 5 feet away from the box, I go, can I help you? And she goes, oh, and I don't remember the name, but she's a bee specialist. And I'm like, no way, there's no way. Number one, a box that's full of bees, I don't know how many are inside, but there's 10,000 on the outside, and this woman that's standing there. So I go, you're joking with me. She goes, no, I'm a specialist with bees. I go, so what do we do about that? She goes, oh, don't worry, I already called and reached out to a neighborhood bee, and I'm going to say kennel, but that's wrong. It's a bee group that's going to come out, and about 5 minutes later, 3 women come with the covering, with a spray and something else. So the whole time I'm there for like 20 minutes in the Office of Emergency Management that manages 15 to 20,000 calls in the city of Chicago on a daily basis, is waiting for me to respond. And I'm like, Adam, what am I supposed to say? And I go, ma'am, how many bees do we have? I just tell them 20,000. Battalion 1 to Maine, we have a swarm of bees isolated in an area which we're in a process of mitigating. And that's all I said. But you can imagine that once we got this all done, which me and Adam, all we were spectators, news people were coming up to ask us questions. I go, no, you got to ask these people. I had about a half a dozen of my friends call me later and said, what did you say? So what that taught me, and I think it probably taught Adam too, is that whether it be in the fire service, whether it be at home, whether it be in behavioral health, any line of work, you don't have to be the expert. You just have to know the right people or be in the right place at the right time, even if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time. So that's a story you probably weren't expecting. I'm open to kind of questions if you'd like more about Wabash or the fire service.
Dan,
Hey, Dan.
what was the most serious high-rise fire that you ever had to deal with in the downtown area?
Yeah, so that was the one I was thinking of before I talked about the bee story. So that was the Bank of America fire. We have about 170 rigs in the city of Chicago, 96 firehouses. And I remember it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I remember hearing a report of a fire at the Bank of America downtown on LaSalle Street. And I'm way on the north side. And an hour later, I hear the alarm escalating. And then an hour later, I hear it escalate some more to the point where it ended up being a 511 with 3 specials, which is, in my career, the highest. 511 is the highest you go. Special is just another word for we need help. And to the point where we had, like I said, if we have 170 rigs plus a lot of battalion chiefs and EMS, I think we had somewhere in the range of 300 to 400 personnel that were at that incident for a period of, I think I was there for 8 or 9 hours. So what happened for me on the north side of Chicago, as the alarm escalated, I was on a tower ladder and we pulled out of the northwest side and changed quarters to support another area. So as we get the central area of downtown gets centered on that fire, all the other surrounding areas kind of try to fill in the pieces. To the point where we were so thinned out, they actually had to call a MABUS mutual aid box alarm system where we had surrounding departments that never came into Chicago were coming in. And the problem with that is they didn't know where they were going. So a lot of calls were being delayed. But we did 2 change of quarters, and then we ended up downtown at Illinois and Dearborn. So on my rig was myself, the driver who had 3 years, another gentleman who had 3 years, and I had 2 candidates their first day on the job. So this was like I said, in my career, the biggest fire ever. I've never had it where a high-rise fire was burning from the time I heard it to the time I got there, and that was 3 hours after the alarm was struck. And our first assignment was to go to the top floor, and then we called it Rapid Ascent Team, and do a search of the stairwell, because unfortunately years before that we had the county building fire where 7 people died, or 6 people died in the stairwell. So we had to take the elevator all the way up to the top floor and walk all the way down. So you can imagine with all that equipment, by the time we got down, we were exhausted. One of the chiefs says, "Hey, are you done with your assignment?" "Yes." "No one was in a stairwell." "Okay, we want you to do X, Y, and Z." So over the next 9 hours, we had about 5 different assignments. At one point, we found ourselves on the 30th floor. The fire was on the 29th. It was all concrete. The fire was lapping up from the 29th floor up to the 30th floor, but didn't get in the windows even though we could see it. But what it did is it got so hot, it created voids in the concrete floor and came up into the 30th floor when I was up on the 30th floor. So we had done a search of the 30th floor, and over time what happened is the smoke started to come through, obviously before the fire. On that floor, we got engulfed by the smoke. We had a Mayday event, which the guy was okay. We found him and he was okay. And then I went down the floor below to share with the chief officers, because I was a lieutenant at the time, that the fire had broke. We had 5 teams, 5 companies lined up in the hallway to enter the 29th floor. But the reason we couldn't make access is because the floor plan was open, and the door that we were at, once you open up the door, you were exposed to that heat right away. The difference on the floor above and the floor below was that when you walked into those floors, there was a common area, and there were doors, Class A doors that were 3-hour fire rated, that would prevent anything from coming into that corridor. But so what our protocol is look at the floor below and you'd understand the layout of the floor above. But in this case, we didn't know at the time it wasn't the same layout. So guys were going in, getting burnt, and coming back out. So they were all lined up in the hallway or in the stairwell. And all of a sudden they see us come out with smoke on our face, and they're like, "What the heck is going on?" So we told them what was going on. Now we had to get companies above the actual fire floor, because we had potentially 2 floors burning, which ended up happening. So it took about 6 to 7 hours for us to put that fire out. At one point we got done with that assignment and then became RIT, which is where we're a rapid intervention team. And usually at any fire, you're only supposed to have one assignment. If you get to that second assignment, you're supposed to go to rehab and stay there. But you could imagine we were just out of people. So we were pretty exhausted. I go up and we're supposed to meet with the battalion chief, who's supposed to be the RIT chief. So I go up there and he, I don't know if you ever heard of Bobby Hoff. He was our fire commissioner at one point, but I go to the floor, he's nowhere to be found. About 5 minutes later, he comes out of the stairwell almost on fire. And I'm like, what were you doing? I'm thinking, I don't say it to him, but I'm thinking, what were you doing? Well, he had bunker gear, which we actually didn't have at the time because we had three-quarter boots and overcoats. So because we were always we always, like Adam probably had bunker gear that covered your whole body for 20 years. We didn't get it until about 10 years ago, or maybe had it 25 years ago. So you're exposed to the heat. So a lot of us were getting exposed underneath our coat because the heat in the room was probably at 3,000 degrees. So he came out and his gear was almost on fire. We're supposed to have a RIT box that has an extra face piece and connector in case anybody goes down, like the chief. And so I told the guy to open it and have it ready. He opens it and the face piece is missing. So we're on the 27th floor of a 44-story high rise, and all the other RIT boxes are in the lobby. So you can imagine going to a gunfight without a gun. I had to then traverse down to the lobby in front of our fire commissioners and our leadership as they're asking me, hey, what do you need, Dan? I'm like, oh, nothing. I had to go and retrieve a RIT box that had the face piece so that if we did have a firefighter that went down, we had the proper equipment to help them out. Unfortunately, over those 6 hours, we had, I think it was 15 guys that went to the hospital and 3 were intubated. And so without getting into too much more detail, and there were a lot of other things, our rig broke down. We were stranded outside. We ended up having to go to the shops. When we went to the shops, we were waiting for our rig to get there, and the tow truck winch broke. One of the guys that when we were traversing down the stairs at a high rate of speed because the smoke and heat were chasing us, one of our guys broke his ankle. So he was one of the 15 that went to the hospital. So it was quite the experience, to say the least. And nothing went exactly as planned, as you could imagine, as I just kind of shared. So while we might be highly respected, we make as many errors as the average person.
Dan, this is Mac Petty.
Go. Mac, how you doing, Mac?
I'm doing well. When's the last time you've been on campus?
Oh boy, it's been a little while. I did. So my son's he graduated probably about 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I took a tour of the new stadium.
Sure.
And you should see it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I think about old Mud Hollow and what it probably looks like now, and couldn't be prouder, but would have loved to play it down in that.
Oh yeah, yeah. The whole complex is outstanding. I went through and I couldn't believe that a Division III school can have a facility that looks big time.
Yeah, it's very impressive. I have no qualms. Yeah, I wish my son was a sports person and he could have, played in something like that. He wasn't and isn't, but I'd have no problem referring anybody there, not only for the academics, but like you said, from the athletic history and its facilities now.
When did your son graduate?
I think 2016.
16. So, having been there for 40 plus years, I've seen so much change. The whole west side of campus, all those homes are gone and all those new dorms are built.
Right.
You mentioned Mud Hollow. That's now the soccer lacrosse field, new baseball field. You probably got to see since that was probably built about that time your son was there, I would think. And John Cully and I probably have seen more changes than anybody around. It's been amazing.
Yeah, very cool. I could say that while I haven't donated a ton, I've donated since I've graduated since '86. So I've been consistent.
Good. Well, it's good having you. Thanks for coming down, or thanks for Zooming with us.
Oh, you're welcome, Mac. You're a legend. So
I don't know about that.
you are.
Who was the football coach when you were there?
So Carlson was the 3 years, my sophomore, junior, senior, and I'm trying to remember the guy that Parrish was my freshman year.
Oh, okay. Gosh, it's been a while back, hasn't it?
Yeah, I can remember those two guys. I can't remember when my son graduated, though.
Well, that's kind of a sign of old age, I guess.
Yeah.
Long-term memory. I think I want to tell a quick story about how we got connected. Back when I was working at Horner, John Horner, of course, was a Wabash graduate. And there was a Wabash magazine laying on the table or laying on his desk. And it was about Dan. There was his picture was on the front and his turnout gear. And our son Adam was working there at the time. And he'd been talking about fire service. And I said, here, why don't you read this article? I said, it might be kind of interesting. And so then later on, you two met up at a function in Noblesville, wasn't it?
Right.
Someplace. And Adam said something to Dan about reading the article about him, and he couldn't believe he remembered it, reading it. But it was just amazing how this all fell together and how we ended up meeting him. And then when his son graduated from Wabash, I knew he was going to graduate. So I went over that afternoon after the graduation and kind of stood like a stalker standing in the row there, looking,
yes, you did.
looking for a guy's face because I knew what his face looked like. And so he come walking down when all those graduates come walking down there in front of the gym. And I just kind of went up to him and started talking with him, and he was very gracious. And that's kind of how this all got started.
No, that was, so again, I don't know everybody's career, but we always learn about scene size up and situational awareness because we don't want to get into a situation that we have to back out of. So we always approach it intentionally and slowly. So we're walking through the Arboretum and walking towards where they're going to have it after I forget where we're going. I think we're going to the gym. And I just had something, you get that feeling. I get that feeling often. And I look over to the left and there's Andy standing on the steps. I think he had a little bit more of a beard that day.
Might have had, yeah.
And so I look over and I'm like, he's not looking at me. And I look at my wife and I take a few more steps. I go, that son of a gun's looking at me. So I tell my wife, I go, I think that guy's looking at me. I go, that guy's coming over by us. I go, I think I could take him. So just stand by. And if not, I want you to take him. So he walked up and then I was thinking, he looked much like obviously Adam. And so then we had a great conversation, but very similar to you, Andy. Your son Adam takes after you because I went to Noblesville to do a training, and Adam made me do the whole training 2 days in a row before he came up to me. So he was eyeballing me for 2 days and then comes up to me at the end and he goes, "Hey, I got something weird to say to you." He goes, "I think I saw you in a magazine, you know, a while back." Anyhow, so that's how it happened. And I'm like, "Dude, why didn't you say something in the beginning? We could have talked more." But he kept quiet the whole time, stalked me, just like you did.
Yeah, well, I'm probably not as quiet as he is, but he has his moments.
Well, the only thing that he did wrong in his lifetime so far is he didn't go to Wabash.
Well, yeah, we talked about that one time. He said he kind of wished he had him, and I said, well, the only thing is you wouldn't have met your wife because she was at Ball State. So
Yeah, right.
I doubt if they would have met if he'd been at Wabash.
Or this is my Wabash tale. 101 years ago, Dad was playing football for Earlham at Wabash, and they broke his leg.
Wabash broke your dad's leg?
The college football team did.
That's been a few years ago, hasn't it?
Well, we have a thing called, some people might call it a one-upper. We call it a topper in Chicago. It's where somebody tells a story and somebody tops it. So not to top you, Morris, but my sophomore year in college, I was the fullback because we had an All-American quarterback for my freshman year. I'm sure Mac probably remembers in 1982. Dave Broker. Yep. So I came in as a quarterback from my high school. He was an All-American quarterback, so they shipped me to fullback. My sophomore year, I stayed as fullback, and then I was blocking for Marty Kaiser, and actually injured my neck. Got knocked out. Got an X-ray. They said I was fine. Went back 2 weeks later. Got knocked out again. Took an X-ray. Said I was fine. Played the rest of the season. That summer I was lifeguard, fell asleep at like 2 o'clock in the morning coming back from a event, Bible study. Okay, I'm lying. And hit 4 parked cars doing 70 miles an hour.
Ooh.
The cars saved my life because behind the 4 cars was like a 5-foot oak tree. So I wouldn't be here. But anyhow, they brought me to the hospital. They sent me home. And an hour later, I got a call from the ER. They said, "Hey, you got to come back in here." I came back in the ER. They put me on a backboard, put a neck brace on me, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Guy comes up to me, X-ray technician. He goes, "Hey, did you ever hurt your neck before?" And I sat there, or I'm laying there, and I'm like, "Yeah, about 11 months ago in college." They said, "You had a fractured 6 vertebrae." Ooh. And it calcified over. So I played 7 football games with a hairline fracture in my 6 vertebrae. So actually, you think of miracles, I should actually be a paraplegic.
Wow.
So sorry, Morris, I had to top you.
All right, anybody else? All right, well, Dan, thank you for taking the time to come and join us today. I can't imagine going into a building, particularly something 44 stories high, and trying to fight a fire that's 3/4 of the way up. So hats off to you and your compadres and the guys you work with. That's a brave thing that you did.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry, and thanks, Adam, or Andy, and everybody for listening to me. And if there's anything I could do for family members, we have an adolescent site too here for kids 13 to 18. We have done treatment. We've been around for 104 years. And we are part of the Veterans Association Community Care Network in the Region 2 that covers Indiana. And we could do anything for any veteran. We have priority access for fire, police, nurses, and veterans. Andy knows how to get a hold of me. Adam knows how to get a hold of me. Just give me a holler.
All right.
Pleasure meeting y'all.
The link, the link that you sent to Andy, I forwarded that to the entire membership of the club, to the website. So
Perfect.
if anybody's interested in more information, it's out there available on that link.
What do you got, Adam?
Hey, can I jump in real quick? Dan, I'm going to talk about you like you're not here. I want to, I guess, say to the group, 30 years Chicago Fire. I can't imagine the things that Dan did in his career to help his community, but I can speak to what he's done for the fire service nationwide. Dan's known nationwide for bringing about a subject that not a lot of people want to talk about, mental health, addiction. You can imagine just the stereotypical firefighter talking about one's feelings is not tops on our priority list. And I think over the last 5 years, Dan has, particularly in the last 5 years, I think really brought a voice and an acceptance in our industry that, hey, it's okay to talk about this stuff. It's okay to reach out for help. And truly appreciate that about him. And I know, other folks around that teach with him and that have learned from him, and what a huge mark he's left on the fire service by doing that. So thank you, Dan, for all you've done for all of us.
Well,
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Okay, our speaker next week, remember, next Thursday is Christmas Eve, so there won't be a meeting. So on behalf of Santa Gary, who is getting his kitty cats taken care of up at Purdue, we wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas. You all stay safe, and hopefully we'll see all of these faces on New Year's Eve, December 31st. We will have a get-together that day. So you all have a good Christmas, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Merry Christmas.